when I pull it all out here, it starts to look a bit ridiculous, doesn't it? This is a follow-up video to one I did not long ago about knives. Caitlin's not here this weekend, so I thought it was a good opportunity to pull all my pans out, talk you through them. Filming a bit differently, a little bit rogue today. It's first thing in the morning. We've got one camera there. I've got a little weird POV camera here that I'm kind of playing with for some stuff anyway, so I thought I wanted to test it out. Let me know what you think. And that's it. Just going to kind of rant about pans. A few caveats to start off with. I am a food content creator. We make revenue by doing brand deals. It's one of the ways we make revenue. We need revenue to continue doing the videos, to pay people, etc., etc. We have pretty strict protocols about who we work with and who we don't work with. I only really talk about, well, not I only really, I only talk about products I believe in. I test everything before I talk about it as an ad. But the reason I'm saying that and starting this is because some of this I've paid for, some of it, a lot of it I haven't, probably 50-50. So I'm not going to go through this and be like, I've paid for this, I haven't paid for this, I haven't paid for this. Just assume I haven't paid for any of it. However, I would say that this is my, I guess call it my personal collection that lives in my kitchen and that I use. If I don't use it, it wouldn't be here. We would give it back to the company, or we would gift it to friends and family. I only kind of keep stuff on hand that I like and I use. So I think that gives me enough, honesty or credibility to talk about this stuff. So I might talk about a few things that I don't like about particular pans, but in general, this will be a, don't consider this a review video. This is more like this is what I use on my day-to-day. But enough ranting. Where are we going to start? Let's start this end, because this is probably the most ridiculous pan that no one really needs apart from like proper home cooks. And I've only just got this. This is a 20-litre stock pot. It's a big stock pot. I think a stock pot's handy. I've actually got another one down there, but that's a 10-litre. I think 10 litres probably just is what you need for most cooking. So, but a few things about a stock pot. You want them big, but you make sure that it's got a hard bottom. So it's, 4 or 5 ply, stainless steel, ideally with something else kind of wedged in the middle to help with distribution. Why? Because this is going to cook for a long time at a low heat. You don't want stuff, to catch and burn, right? You want an even heat distribution. And if you have a really thin bottom, which I don't have one because I don't like them, stuff will kind of stick, stuff will burn at certain points. You won't get even heat distribution. So a stock pot's useful, and I think you need one if you're a serious home cook. The pressure cooker. Now this one, someone actually asked me the other day about this, what brand it is, and I don't know. I don't know what brand it is. Oh, it's a Tefal, there you go. So this is a pressure cooker. This is a stainless steel one. Again, proper bottom, and then the top, which locks on. Like so, and then you adjust the pressure here. I hope that's working on this chest camera, or this is going to be really weird for that camera. Yeah, perfect for braising, cooking, stuff like that. So if you've got a recipe that's going to say something needs to be braised for 6 hours, that'll do it in an hour and a half. Super popular in like India and through a lot of Asia. Great for braising meat. Great for cooking rice. You can cook rice in like 4 minutes in a pressure cooker. Not what I ever do. Yeah, pretty handy little thing to have. This is another stock pot. This one's pretty well used. Not a stock pot, I'm not super great with my technical names. This is a maiden 8 quarts pot. I don't even know what 8 quarts means. I'm guessing that's about 6 litres. I'd love to know if I'm right or wrong. But well-made pot. Triple layered. Well, I'm guessing it's triple layered. cool, hot, cold handles, so you know the handles don't get heated up. You can shove this in the oven if you need to. Pretty good handy pot to have. At the end, I'm going to say these are the pots you need to start. These are the pans you need to start, because no one needs this much, just as a caveat. This here is like a shallow, like brazier, I guess you could call it. Again, comes with a lid. I like this for doing things like risottos in. That's pretty much kind of it. Or cooking pasta. It works well if I'm cooking pasta for 2 portions. This kind of size pot works well. This pot's one of my new favorites. I call this a saucier. Some people call it a wok. It's not a wok. But it's a decent depth. So it holds a decent amount of volume. It's got a nice round bottom. So it works really well for reducing sauces, reducing stocks if you're making sauces. But I think it's just a good everyday pot, like for like pastas and stuff like that. If you're trying to like emulsify a pasta sauce, this pot is fantastic for that. So this is one by a company called Scotsburg out of the Netherlands. I like this pot a lot. This pot is a copper pot by one of my favorite food YouTubers, Alex, French guy cooking, I think he's in a bit of a hiatus from cooking at the moment. So I have no idea whether Alex will watch this or not, but if you are, Alex, what's up? I miss seeing your face on YouTube. So copper, fantastic. I think this is copper that's lined with silver. So why copper? Fantastic conductor of heat. Works incredibly well. And kind of a very classic French material to cook with. This one definitely needs a clean. My old chefs back in the day in London would not be happy to see the copper pot looking like this. But works really well again for sauces and stuff like that. So if I'm reducing some demi-glaze, this is kind of what I'll do it in. The issue with copper is it's like extortionately expensive, right? Like really, really expensive. So no one needs a set of copper pots. If you like them and you can afford them, great, they work perfectly, but they're just like really expensive. And Alex released this pot and he was very honest about it. I think he was very realist about it. This was an expensive pot to produce, so it was an expensive pot to buy. Beautiful pot, no one really needs it unless you can afford it, and yeah. We'll talk about saucepans in a second. This is a really interesting pot, kind of a different design. It's by a company called Solid Technics. They're based here in the Sunshine Coast, Australia. This is a stainless steel pot, but it's just made out of one piece. So it's pressed out of one piece, that's the benefit. It retains heat really well. Oh, my pots are really dirty, I really need to clean these properly. It retains heat really well. And it can be used in the oven, it can be used on a campfire, it can be used on charcoal, it can be used in a bunch of different ways. So yeah, that's a great little pot. Interesting, got a kind of a different lid, which I love-hate relationship with, I think. Best way to describe that lid. It can be really hard to get off if it's hot. Other than that, I love it. That can also be used as a fry pan. So if you are camping and you only want to take one thing, you can use that as a fry pan and that as a pot. Saucepans. So this, yeah, saucepans. That's what I call them. This set I've had for years. But Clark, don't know what that brand is. I don't know where I got it from. I've had it for years. Again, suitable for all induction, like for induction and stuff. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. The handles stay nice and cold and they work well. This is a similar saucepan, the same size as that one, maybe a little bit smaller, but it has a lid. I think a lid's kind of good for these things as well. This one's made by Maiden. This one's a bit lighter than this one, which can be handy. Weight's pretty important, I think. Something I don't think about heaps. And I kind of need to probably start thinking about it more. Because like for this stuff, so I'm kind of happy to pick it up. Then if If you're someone that has struggles with RSI, or you know, you're not particularly strong for whatever reason, a medical reason or not, or you're just a smaller individual, some of this stuff can get pretty heavy, especially when we get to the cast iron. Okay, stainless steel fry pans. Stainless steel is having a bit of a moment at the moment. But for a reason, good reason. It's, you know, durable. This stuff will last a lifetime. It'll outlast me. And if you don't know how to use it, they don't stick. It's just, you just got to heat it up first, like all pans. Make sure you heat them up before you put food in them. There is a few caveats to that. If you're cooking a piece of fish, sometimes you don't want it super hot, etc., etc. But in general, if you're like cooking eggs, make sure this is hot before you put the eggs in it. It shouldn't stick. Use plenty of oil. So this is by Solid Techniques as well. It's also made out of one piece, which I like. It means rivets are never going to break or anything like that. Heats, you know, distributes heat really well. But I like the weight of it. It's not too heavy. It's another stainless steel pan. This one's by Maiden. I think everyone's seen this one floating around the internet. You know, a 10-inch stainless steel fry pan. No issues with that one. Man, why do I get the dries when I talk like this? This is another sort of 10-inch stainless steel pan made by Scotsburg, which was made that Saucier pan there. Haven't used this one as much, but no issue with it. I think it works well. Okay, that's pretty much the stainless steel stuff. I'll do a kit at the end of what I think you need. Let's carry on to the cast iron. We're going to go straight down the front here. This is a pot also by Scotsburg. It's a cast iron pot, roaster, I guess you could call it. This is fantastic. It's got a lid. I like this pot and the shape because it's versatile, especially if you are a couple. I think that works really well. You can roast a piece of meat in that. You can roast potatoes in that. You can cook a focaccia in it. You can braise some brisket in it. You can braise some short ribs in it. There's lots of uses for it. And it's not outrageously big. But it's cast iron, so it's heavy. Excuse me. Which is good for, oh yeah, and these dimples on the bottom, these are to stop moisture. These are these little dimples here, if you can see them. There you go, you can see them there. These are to stop moisture. So moisture builds up and it hits that dibble and falls back into whatever you're cooking. Yeah, negatives, it's heavy. And you have to look after them. So cast iron you have to look after. So let's touch on that really quickly now. How do you look after cast iron? Well, you just wash it with like soapy water. Some people say don't use soapy water, but I think that's a lie. I think you use soapy water. And you dry it, rinse it well. So once it's washed with soapy water, you rinse it really well. And then you dry it really well. And then you just brush a little bit of oil on it, just like this. So you take your pan, just a little bit of oil, get a paper towel, and you wipe it all around, just like that. And then you put it back. And that's ready for the next time. Never put it in the dishwasher. The more you use it, the better non-stick they get, the more carbon they build up. Yeah. So, but back to, that's a great little roaster. This is also, well, this is a Dutch oven. And I've had this Dutch oven for ages. It's nothing special. It's not a fancy one. It's a raw cast iron Dutch oven. It's not an enamel coated one. So you see the cast irons that are colour. Who's that? Someone's here. That are colour. They're an enamel coated. So this is just a raw. I prefer the raw. I don't have anything against the enamel ones. I find the enamel ones, my issue with them is that I find them they're harder to clean. This one has got some rust spots here, which I don't have in the pan. I don't know if you can see. Oh, you should be able to see that there. Yeah. Which is, I don't know if it's a concern or not, and I don't know I'm guessing that is coated in something for that to happen. but the bottom doesn't have it. So maybe the top's coated in enamel. But yeah. Dutch oven is a really useful braising stuff, baking bread. You can boil stuff in it if you want to, you know, make stews, make sauces, make soups. You can put it in the oven, you can put it on the fire, you can put it on your gas hob, your induction hob. Pretty versatile piece of equipment. So these here are kind of, well, this pan here is like my favorite pan at the moment. This is a cast iron pan made by Ironclad, which I think is actually a Kiwi company. I could be wrong. Excuse me. A classic shape cast iron pan, double spout for pouring stuff out. Heavy. You do the same, you clean it the same way. This has got a really good, you know, build up of carbon on it. So it's really non-stick, this pan. I've used it a lot and that's why it works so well. This thing will outlast me. This will last 3 generations, 4 generations, no problem. The issue with this, you can't drop, if you drop this, it'll shatter. Well, it's likely to shatter. Unlike a stainless steel pan, that'll just bounce off the ground. You gotta look after it, you gotta care for it, and it's heavy. It's a heavy pan. That's a smaller version, yep, of the same thing. Great if you're just cooking, you know, a couple of fried eggs. And then this is the one by Solid Technics that I just showed you. So it's a similar design to that stainless steel one, except I think this is made from spun steel instead of, well, they call it Oz iron. So I think it's a different technique to spun steel even. But it has the same properties. So this is, I've used this pan a lot too, and it has a great non-stick kind of coating on it. Has the same properties, heats, you know, distributes heat really well. You know, it's just metal, so it's not going to put any nasties in your food or anything. But it's a lot lighter, way, you know, probably half the weight of one of those other cast irons, which I really like. Also, probably less likely to shatter. I could be wrong about that. It's hard doing this without Caitlin here to bounce off. Okay, one last cast iron, and I think this is cast iron. Feels like it. It might be something similar to that Oz iron, but this one's got a riveted handle. It's a maiden one. I've used this a fair bit, especially in the last kind of couple of weeks, and I'm pretty happy with it. The weight's nice, and the handle's quite nice too, like a nice long handle. Kind of nice contrast that it has a different kind of color handle to, just noticed it's a bit greasy, a different color handle to the stainless steel one, but also a good pan. Really like this pan. Okay, woks. Wok. Excuse me for sniffing. 2 types of woks. Your average spun steel wok, round bottom. Can't see what I'm doing. Round bottom, so you will need, show that round bottom too, completely round bottom, classic wok shape. If you've got a burner, you're gonna need a wok cradle. So if your burner doesn't come with one, probably is an issue, but there's an issue, but there's a solution. And same with you treat these the same way you treat a cast iron pan. Once it's used, rinse it out with hot soapy water, dry it really well, put a bit of oil on it, and it'll be fine for the next time. This is a wok by Mako, which is Marion Gosby's kitchenware company. Marion's another food creator here on the sunny coast, if you don't know, Marion's Kitchen. This is her wok, so she's Thai, so she, you know, made her perfect wok. It's a flat bottom wok, which is great if you don't have a cradle, so you can kind of use, and you can use this on like induction and stuff like that. Also a great wok, and has the pourers out the side as well. I like using this for deep frying this wok for some reason. I don't know why, it seems to be my go-to deep frying wok. And then non-stick. There might be a couple of, I don't know, people about this in here. I think a good non-stick pan is pretty important in the kitchen, and I don't really use it for much. Okay, so I'll use non-stick pans to cook eggs. And what else do I use it for? maybe pancakes, something like that. You can do it in cast iron, but if you want like that perfect pancake, like super consistent color, you're going to need to do it in something like a non-stick. This is a Maiden one. I like the look of it, and the non-stick seems to hold up pretty well. You gotta be pretty careful with non-stick. It's kind of, you know, it's pretty unforgiving stuff, right? You don't really want it to, you know, you don't want other pans on top of it. You gotta clean it pretty carefully. You probably can shove these in the dishwasher. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get told off for saying that. I'm sure I shove these in the dishwasher. And then this is, I have no idea what brand this is, but if you're a chef, if you're a professional chef, you've definitely used one of these pans. This is a kitchen, there we go, Vogue. If you're a chef in Australia, I think this is an Australian brand. I don't know if you can see that or not. Vogue. This is like a classic omelette pan. So they'll have like 10 of these in your omelette station. Make your omelettes. And you'll see the omelette chefs there, they won't even wash these really. They might wash them once a day, but they won't wash them after every time. They'll just kind of make the omelette, paper towel, wipe it out, put it back. And that's perfectly fine. It's not, you know, it's heat. It's not full of bacteria or anything, but they would wash it out once a day. The thing is with non-stick, these things, like honestly, in a commercial kitchen, these things last. If you're a commercial kitchen that does omelettes, like on a proper omelette station, proper brunch spot, these things have got like 6 months in them, you know, which I think we need to start thinking of some better solutions to it, because we can't be making stuff and just throwing it in landfill after 6 months. And the truth is that they just don't work after 6 months. Like they just lose their non-stick, slows down service. So we need to start thinking about how we can innovate the space to make stuff that does last a lifetime. So this is why I'm a huge advocate for stainless steel and cast iron products, or you know, variations of cast iron products. They don't break. You do look after them, and they'll do you forever, right? So making sure that if you're gonna buy a set of pots and pans, now I understand that sometimes, like, and I've been in this situation many times in my life. If you don't have heaps of cash, this stuff can be really expensive. So just do the best that you can, and it makes it really hard when you can go down to like the supermarkets and stuff and buy a non-stick pan for 18 bucks, and then I go and say, you should go and buy this cast iron or this Oz iron pan. I don't know how much they are off the top of my head, but they're expensive. They're not cheap. So I think it's one of those things that if you're a serious cook, you're into cooking, I know it seems really expensive. You also don't need to go out and buy everything at once. Just go buy something and then save up for 6 months, whatever. Buy a really nice Dutch oven. Yeah, and it will last you forever if you look after it. But I do understand it's expensive, and sometimes it's hard to justify when you can go and see, you see a $20 non-stick pan on the shelf. But that's my little rant about spending money on pans. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put out the starter pack, I think. What do you actually need? If you're moving in, if you have just left home and you're like, I really need some gear. This is what you actually need to cook. Well, what I think you should invest your money in. These things are nice to have, but you don't have to have one. You definitely don't have to have a copper sauce pot. Okay, we're getting close here. We're getting close. We're gonna need that. We don't need that. We don't need one of those. We only need one of those, and that's dependent on, the thing is that I like about these woks, these round bottom woks, I brought this from my local Asian supermarket. I think it was $12 4 years ago. There we go. one last worthy mention, a trivet is pretty handy. This is another one from Marion, the lady who also made that wok back there. They're really handy. I didn't have one for years, and then I got given this one from Marion, and I've used it all the time now. This is a silicone one, you can get metal ones, but trivets are really handy. Excuse me. I think this is what you need. And you could ditch one of these if you wanted to, and you could ditch that if you wanted to. But the base is a half decent set of saucepans. Now you could probably actually just do with 2 of those as well. You don't really need 3. A bigger one and a smaller one. A wok, I think this is like also like a maybe, because you can kind of do that and that. You know, I think if you want to go real bare bones, that's actually all you need. A Dutch oven, because you can make, you know, this can be your stock pot, soup pot, everything. You know, large volume stuff, you can bake stuff in it. 2 saucepans, you got a skillet, you know, a cast iron skillet, 1 small non-stick pan and a wok. I can probably cook most stuff with, you know, with that, almost everything. And I'm not talking about oven trays as well. This is just pots and pans. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items, all right? And then if you want to add in something else, I'd add in something like this next. Like a sauciers pan, good for doing like pastas and stuff like that. And then I'd probably throw in a non-stick pan. Sorry, a non-stick pan, a stainless steel pan. A wok, obviously, I think you need a wok straight up. And the good thing about a wok, like I said, they're really inexpensive. Just look after it. So, there you go, I'm just being told my recording has been stopped. Okay, I've run out of battery. We'll see how that looks. You can tell me now. Pretty fancy though now, isn't it? I've got this little thing on, no one even knows. And then from there, you can start building your kit out. You might go, actually I want a pressure cooker next. Cool, I'm gonna get a pressure cooker because that's pretty handy. You can use that for a couple of different things. You know, I need a big stock pot because I want to start making pho and I want to start making, you know, soup noodles in my own stocks. Actually, I really want to try one of these, you know, lighter cast iron pans because my, you know, my wrist is starting to kind of age on me. And you start building it out. But there you go. I hope I kind of covered enough information there. This is something I'm kind of geeking out on at the moment. I think I said that in my last video. What's the ultimate setup for the average home cook? What's the ultimate setup for the slightly above average home cook? And then what's the ultimate setup for someone who's like a real passionate kind of home cook? What's the best materials? How do we get the best results? You know, I love how these work. I love how the heat retention, but it's heavy. The maintenance is kind of annoying. I'm a pretty big advocate for the dishwasher. It's kind of annoying that you can't put those in a dishwasher, but you can't. Stainless steel is not without its, you know, issues. They're just kind of hard to clean. You can see this one's looking a bit tired. I could spend 20 minutes on that and clean it. Do I want to spend 20 minutes cleaning one pot? No. I will though. Yeah. Is there a way that we can make a non-stick pan that's not bad for you? You know, there's a lot of noise about that at the moment, that the forever chemicals in these things. Not all of them, I don't know if there is forever chemicals in that, I'm not saying that, but there does seem to be science, some science to back up that those are in some of these non-stick products. How do we, you know, make something that lasts longer and is just non-stick? Anyway, legends, thank you for watching. If you haven't watched already, our YouTube video will be up on the main channel, Arancini, from our time in Sicily. And our products would have been launched as well. So, dough scraper, Andy Cook's bag, apron, protein press. This thing's pretty cool. Like this, nice and heavy. That's launched now. So, yeah, go check it out. I'll see you next week. Peace.